Hey, welcome everyone. We're back for another week. This is Take the Lead, Change the Game, a podcast for women leaders looking to deepen their knowledge and skills and find enjoyment in the process. We're powered by Safra Leadership. Safra Leadership is a cohort-based coaching experience designed to fuel courage and ignite impact among women professionals. I'm Lindsay Gray, and this is Mindy Gulati. We're the co-founders of Safra. Together, we bring a blend of leadership coaching, strategy, and lived experience to help women navigate challenges, seize opportunities, and lead with confidence. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of play, why it's serious business for women leaders. When was the last time you played just for the joy of it, Mindy?
This is a funny question. I mean, it's hard to answer this. I will say to the audience that of all the topics we're going to talk about on this podcast, I swear the power of play, or why it's important to play, or how to play, is probably one of the toughest topics for me. And it's one of the hardest topics for a lot of women leaders because it's confusing. It's wrought with some undercurrents, some historical undercurrents, biases, time, age, and I think that what I have learned over the course of my life, especially the last couple of years, is how important it is to play. And that's really hard for me. It's been a hard pill for me to swallow. It's been a hard pill for me to implement. I will say I have lots of good advice on most topics, but play, I'm working on it. I am a work in progress. But what I will say is when I talk to women leaders that I work with day to day in coaching or in strategy, we're not getting enough play. We're not having enough fun. We're not enjoying things enough. And I think it's kind of like an epidemic, honestly. And so I'm excited that we're spending some time on this today. I want to kind of set us out with, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the research around play, but I like how Brene Brown defines play. She says it's time spent without purpose. So think about that. It's time spent without purpose. It's activity that's voluntary, pleasurable, and appeals to your sense of adventure. Something you do just because it feels good, not because it achieves an outcome. And I really like this definition because I feel like every minute of my day is spent for a purpose. I'm very scheduled. I'm very type A. I'm trying to get things done. And that's why play is very hard for me, because it feels like I'm either wasting time, I'm not accomplishing something, and it's something I really have to work at. This is probably the hardest thing for me to work at, is playing, which is sort of the opposite of what this should be.
Antithetical to what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Lindsay? Tell us a little bit more kind of the research that we've been reading about.
Yeah, I mean, if you dive into the research on play, it's sort of non-discretionary, or should be non-discretionary, because it aids us and is necessary for so many different aspects of our lives. So I'm just going to list some off, and there's a few, so bear with me. Play reduces stress and improves problem solving. It stimulates innovation and creativity by activating the brain's reward system. A Stanford study found that walking meetings increases creative output by up to 60%. So Mindy, that is, if you consider walking meetings at least an adjacent form of play, I know that's something that you
and
do.
I do play. Let's put that on the table.
Yes, there you go. And so a Stanford study supports that and says that it increases creative output by up to 60%. Play enhances perspective taking and social connection, which is key to emotionally intelligent leadership. Play builds psychological resilience. It helps leaders recover from setbacks by engaging in curiosity instead of fear. Of course, leaders who demonstrate playfulness foster psychological safety, right? And encourage their people to take risks, because if we are playful and unstructured, it can help with that as well. There's also something I want to point out, is that there is a gendered play gap. So research from the American Psychological Association notes that women, especially high achieving women, report less unstructured leisure time than their male counterparts. Play reconnects women to intrinsic motivation and joy, and increases our confidence and allows us to take risks. So that's a lot of reasons for play, including the fact that we as women apparently experience a disparity in play and playtime. And so, when we think about, oh, I don't want to play, or I don't have time to play, we really are inhibited by that.
Yeah.
And it's a big barrier for us.
Yeah, and I want to note a couple things here. I work with men and women across the country, across sort of disciplines and industries. Women definitely play less, and they definitely hold themselves to a more serious standard. I don't think women have as much fun, especially the older that we get. And if you are a leader, you're presumably high achieving. And what you just read about, high achieving women have a lot less unstructured leisure time. And the women that I spend time with, typically lawyers, executives, I spend time with CEOs, chief legal officers, chief people officers. It's a real struggle for them. And I think that, what the advice that I've been given by therapists that I've went to I worked with a therapist who said, Mindy, you're very aware and you've done so much work. But the thing that's your biggest block is you don't play. That was like my goal for a long time, still is to try to give myself that room, because I work out, but working out feels like I'm trying to get something done. It doesn't feel like I'm playing. How about you, Lindsay? How does it sort of fit in with your life?
Yeah, I really struggle as well. I think, first of all, as moms of smaller kids, my kids are 10 and 12 now. So I'm actually like transitioning into an area where I have more discretionary time. But I think with moms of small kids, it's like your day from like maybe 5:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night is somebody else's time, right? Like it's like your kids and then your job. And so finding moments of play is really challenging. I really enjoy being outside. That sort of lightens my soul and lifts my spirits. I also really enjoy time in community with friends. Actually, right now I'm in Colorado with some of my neighborhood mom friends. We go every year just for about 3 nights somewhere. This is our 4th year. And it's a really playful time for me because I'm really comfortable with the group. I live, within a block of all of them. And so it's a time for me really to do something. I don't have an agenda, right? It's just to be with them and to have fun and do whatever we want. And so that is a way that I find play annually, but I'm also aware that like I can't play once a year. And so I try to find little things, but like you, Mindy, this is definitely a tough topic for me in that like I'm not very good at it. Last year I had more flexibility because I transitioned out of my CEO role in the nonprofit that I founded, and was sort of like exploring and building up my coaching and consulting business, and so had more unstructured time. And I ended up training for a half Ironman, which in some ways is fun and playful, but like similar to your point about working out. I certainly had an agenda and a goal. And so I too struggle to fill that time with stuff that doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah. And I think, some of there's a lot of barriers for play for women leaders. And I think this idea that play is unproductive is mine. And I think it's a lot of, and like you just said, you took a break and you did a triathlon, right? Like that's, even though that's enjoyable in a lot of ways, and but it's still an achievement, right? Like you were achieving something. I'm the same way. For a long time, I did this outdoor boot camp class called Camp Gladiator, and I did it for years. And it was like, I would go there with like the whole determination each class to like beat everybody and, and beat myself and go harder and go faster and lift heavier. And because I needed it to be productive.
Yeah.
And in the last year, through the course of many things in my life, I gave up those hardcore workouts because I found them to be adding another stress, another achievement, another thing And I was like, okay, I'm not going to like measure myself in that way.
Yeah.
And I still work out almost every day, maybe every day for sure. I'm walking, but I'm trying to have it be a little more fun. I love that the research talks about walking meetings. So this is like,
Like,
one thing I have definitely accomplished is I do lots of walking meetings. And let me just give you an example of how you could ask somebody to do this is basically, if you have meetings with people that you meet with regularly, most people have set meetings, scheduled meetings, catch-ups, whatever, check-ins, ask them, hey, would you like to go for a walk? And the key is both of you need to be walking. So if you're not together in the city where you live, which is great, if you can get out and go for a walk with somebody in person, fantastic. But my meetings, for the most part, walking meetings, are us on the phone. And we'll just agree, hey, let's get outside and we'll meet and we're on our headphones and we go for a walk. I can definitely attest to it being more, my brain works a lot better. I'm more creative. I'm more innovative. I do a lot of strategy work for companies. I once walked for 3 hours with a CEO and a chief legal officer, and I walked for 3 hours and they were walking. They didn't make it the full 3 hours, but we basically created an entire strategic plan on that call because we were just feeling the energy of outside. So I do want to talk about like the barrier of being unproductive. It's something I struggle with. And so I don't know, what other barriers do you see for women leaders?
I mean, I think this like being unproductive, not like, I think that's twofold, right? Like, I don't want to fill my calendar with something that is quote unquote unproductive, but it's also because we are carrying such a load. Like, not just, we don't want to, even if we had a full day that was totally, we didn't have anything to do, filling something unstructured, I think we feel we're resistant to that. The other side of that is that our actual to-do list, like the things we have to accomplish in a day for many of us women, is very, very long. And so finding time for that, like, we're always on somebody else's time. I think that is a barrier as well. I also think that like some of us find play in some ways uncomfortable. And I actually am going to use an example that just happened to me, which was so lovely and wonderful. But I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So I was getting ready. I'm on this trip, as I mentioned, with a bunch of mom friends, and they were all wishing me good luck as they were walking out the door because they left for a little bit. And then I was like, oh, this is really, we do this every week. It's not that big of a deal. And then they were like, oh, no, we have to cheer you on. And then one of them was like, everybody, let's get in a line and like put our arms up and let Lindsay run through. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? And like our handyman was there. He's doing something like, there's to be work done. And I just was like, what's happening? And so I'm like trying to run through and I'm like, oh, I know, like, and I know in my head, and especially with this podcast, like I'm thinking to myself, this is a good thing. And like, of course, encouraging, like my friends are just trying to support me. But I'm like, this is like, I'm uncomfortable with this play and, like in front of someone that's not in the group. Like, it was really interesting because I was like, oh, I don't like, I can't even like let myself relax to that extent. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. And the tip that I would give, and this is straight from my therapist, is she said, when you feel uncomfortable, you need to take note of that. Yeah. And then you need to sit with it and process like you just did. If it's uncomfortable. And I've had those feelings where it's like, I don't know, like what to do. Like this feels so uncomfortable to me. Note them and think about why, and think about your body's reaction to it. That's like kind of step one, is to see. And then the other thing is like one time my therapist asked me like, what do you do to be silly? And I was like, I can't be silly. What are you talking about? Like, do you know who I am? Like me? And I've mentioned this on the podcast before, like my son gave me feedback that I was too serious and intense, but I feel like not only is that like a character trait of me and as a lawyer and former trial lawyer, but also I think there's some gendered expectations around this. Like I don't see women allowed to be as silly or playful as men. Like, and I observe people, and I don't think these men aren't doing it on purpose, or they're not like in our face, but they can be more goofy. and silly and loud and boisterous. And women, I think there is a feeling like we have to be more in control and more serious and more in control of our emotions. We can't laugh so loud, or we can't, be as like goofy out in public. And so I think that hurts a lot of women in their personal and professional lives. But I think, one step is to start noticing when it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then you got to start pushing yourself. So what are some strategies that you think, and again, like, honestly, like, I'm working along with you all, like, but I have spent probably 2 years thinking about play for myself. So I'm in it. I don't have it solved, but I have that awareness piece of what makes me feel uncomfortable. And then I do have a couple things that I do. But what about you, Lindsay, in terms of like reclaiming play in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think making time for it, scheduling it, right? We're not going to do it unless we put it in the calendar. And even if it's not like, doesn't need to be an hour or 3 hours, right? But it can be like 10 minutes. And if you like to draw, or you like to, small secret tidbit, it's like, I grew up singing. And so I actually really enjoy it, and I hardly ever do it. And so, finding time for that. I think it really, for me, it's scheduling the time. And then I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, I just love getting outside. And I think for me that like it is playful, but it's also like just this breath of fresh air, literally and figuratively. How about you?
Yeah, I think these like micro moments are important. So don't think if you got to like schedule an hour to play. But what I have done is, number one, that awareness piece. And number two, I think back to things I like to do as a kid. So like riding a bike. I don't have metrics for me tied to riding a bike. So like, I like riding a bike. I'll just go out and ride, and it's pretty fun. Also, like, if I see something really funny that I like cracks me up on like TikTok or something, I don't just keep it to myself. Like, I'll share it with a friend, and then I'll call them, and we'll like die laughing together. And maybe it's like 60 seconds, but those little moments of play. The other thing I would say too is I do think it's important to schedule. Like, I like playing pickleball now. So like scheduling that. But the other thing that I have done recently is this question, like, what did you like to do kind of as a kid? Like, I like dancing. And I used to go to like a lot of like raves as a kid, like dance, like EDM. And so I don't cook very much, but when I cook, I do like rave kitchen, and I just like turn on music really loud, and maybe it's only for like 10 minutes, but it just like, it's joyful to me. And, my kids die of embarrassment during that. And a lot of times they won't come in the kitchen, but it's like those little things are just, they're helping me. I'm not there yet, but it's not like I play every day. But this topic's really important because if you're a woman in leadership, if you're a lawyer, an executive, an engineer, like, man, the pressure is there. And we have all these like other pressures, these barriers for women, gendered expectations. But it's so important because we deserve to enjoy our lives. And that's what I tell myself, like, I deserve to enjoy something every day. It's not wrong of me not to always be achieving, but man, that need to achieve and be productive, it's with me.
It's so real, for sure. Well, awesome. Well, I'm going to close us out for today. I hope everyone can find a small micro play or a way to schedule play into your lives. We are going to be pre-recording next week. We won't be live, but we'll go on at the same time. And we're excited. We have a little surprise for you. So, Mindy, anything else you want to add?
Nope. Go out and have some fun. We'll put some links in our where we post for some articles. You can look at the research behind this, and everybody have some fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.